Okay, we might as well start the regular meeting then. This is meeting number 507 of the Lake George Park Commission. Michelle, we have a quorum?
Yes, you do.
We do. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Everyone has a copy of the minutes of the previous meeting. Do we have any additions or corrections?
Move to approve.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the previous meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Approved. Same thing with the fiscal actions report. We all had a copy of that. Any corrections or additions?
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved to approve and second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. The aforementioned ad hoc committee, the chairman has decided to form a committee for the study the Lake George septic systems. There's been a tremendous amount of publicity in the basin recently concerning this, and we want to get the facts down and see if there are any probable direction for the commission to go in this. And I've pointed to the commission will be, or to the ad hoc committee will be, Ken Parker will be the chairman, and the memberships will be Joe Stanek, Bill Mason, Kathy Lombard, and Dave Floyd.
Okay.
As Ken mentioned earlier, even though this is a membership of the ad hoc committee, I don't think anybody would object if any other commissioners want to attend a meeting of the ad hoc committee.
Bruce, I have some comments that we've prepared
Yeah,
to lay the groundwork for this, hopefully, and to get us moving. With your permission,
Did
I'll
you want to read the charge, Ken?
I'm sorry?
Did you want to read the charge to the committee?
Yes, I do. My lawnmower is outside, but we'll see if we can get through this. I'm going to read, because I can't remember it all. The Lake George Park Commission is a New York State agency charged with the long-term protection of Lake George per Article 43 of the New York State Environmental Conservation Law. Lake George is one of the most well-protected water bodies in the Northeast, with robust stormwater management, stream corridor, and invasive species protections in place. These initiatives have been successfully advanced and implemented with considerable cooperation from state agency, municipal, and nonprofit partners. It is incumbent upon the Park Commission to identify point and non-point source pollution entering Lake George from all sources, including wastewater treatment systems. Section 110 of Environmental Conservation Law, Article 43, relates to the discharge of wastewater in the Lake George Park, specifically in relation to on-site wastewater treatment systems. Working in consultation with the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, the New York State Department of Health, and local municipalities, the Commission is now advancing a thorough review of the status of septic systems around Lake George to evaluate potential impacts to the lake's water quality. If it is determined by the best available science and data that on-site wastewater systems pose a significant water quality impact to Lake George, the Commission will review and advance initiatives to address and mitigate this issue, working in partnership with state and local partners. With Lake George experiencing its first ever harmful algae bloom in November of 2020, it is incumbent on the Commission and partners to determine root causes of this event and to implement measures to help prevent such events from occurring in the future. Lake George is a unique and treasured natural resource with unparalleled water quality and clarity, and it will take all of us working together to protect it for future generations. Now, I hope that you all know that the Jefferson Project was reported on the Lake George Mirror dated May 14th, 2021. And Dr. Rick Relier gave an interesting report. And one of the two most important issues was that the report is not finished yet. The investigation is not complete. The testing is not complete. And I know that they're working diligently on that. The other good news is that all of their vertical analyzers, or however they term them, have been returned to the lake. I want to let you know that the commission has already commenced meetings with senior DEC and municipal officials, and we hope to engage all interested parties and groups. Now, here is our basis of a mission statement, which we hope to expand at our first, if necessary, if need be, at our first soon to be scheduled committee meeting. Mission statement for ad hoc septic system committee includes better understand the overall population of septic systems around Lake George. Number two, based on literature and field data, determine if those systems pose negative impacts to the current or long-term water quality of the lake. Number three, if demonstrated that septic systems are impacting public health or the water quality of the lake, identify programmatic and regulatory options to address the issue. Number four, develop consensus on a preferred option working with New York State DEC, New York State DOH, and local municipalities. Number five, implement and or facilitate the appropriate program to address septic system issues for the long-term health of the lake. We will be having commission workshop meetings once a month, focused solely on this issue. As such, these meetings will be formally posted and fully public, and any commissioner can attend regardless if they are on the committee. This will allow for discussion on this topic without burdening the monthly meeting and provide flexibility with our interactions with the public. In other words, the public will be invited. And that kicks it off at this point. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. I expect great things from you.
Let's see.
Our next item on is a project review actions report, Joe Thulin. Actually, before that, I'd like to have Ken, not Ken, but Joe do the project review actions report.
Resolution 2021-26, accept the project review actions report. Whereas the commission has received and reviewed the project review actions report prepared by the staff dated 5/18/2021, and the project review committee recommends acceptance of the project review actions report. Now therefore be resolved that the commission directs that the project review actions report be incorporated in the minutes of the full commission meeting. So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the project review actions report. Any discussion? All in favor, show of hands. Opposed? Carried. First project we have today is a Class A Marina modification by Brody's Lakeside Marina. Joe, do you want to introduce?
Yes.
Joe Thulin, do you want to introduce that?
Yes, thank you. Good morning, everyone. So this is two applications. It's a marina modification by Brody's Lakeside, seeking to replace 2 seasonal berthing customers with a tour boat. And concurrent is a tour boat application, a new operation for 25 passenger tour boat to be berthed at the Sagamore with primary pickup at Brody's and secondary pickup at the Sagamore. I can see that John Brody is with us, as well as Lori Ream, who represents the tour boat application. So I'd welcome you guys to unmute yourself and discuss the application in a little more detail.
Good morning, and thank you very much for allowing us this opportunity. I am here with John Brody, as Joe mentioned, and also my partner, Christine Norton, I believe is on the call as well. And we are Adirondack Excursions. We're a limited liability corporation that we formed last year. And we are proposing adding a modification to Brody's Lakeside Marina to allow us to operate a new private charter on Lake George for small groups. We purchased a 40-foot houseboat that we've converted to a charter vessel. And our mission is to provide a very safe and reliable options for groups over the current threshold of 11 that most of the current rentals provide, and less than 25 people on Lake George. We're fully captained with a joint pilot and engineer license and crewed to monitor and service our guests for safety and certainly the lake compliances. And we are seeking approval to do so out of Brody's Lakeside and the Sagamore. I'm currently the director of sales at the Sagamore, so saw a need and a niche for a vessel for smaller corporate groups, for smaller family reunions that don't want to captain several boats themselves to be able to get out and enjoy the lake, the beautiful lake that we all enjoy together. And there was currently nothing that could do that. So hence the idea was born, and we purchased the boat and have made many modifications along the way, and are hoping you are as excited about it as we are.
Any commissioners have any questions for Ms. Green at this time?
Is this a, this boat, you already have the Morgan over there working on Sagamore, if I remember.
Correct. We do have the Morgan over here at the Sagamore, but it cannot handle groups under 25. It's too large for that.
Any other questions? Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience who wants to speak on this application? And Joe, have we had any comments aside from the public on this?
We did receive some comments from the public, initially some concerns regarding parking, but we believe that's been accommodated with the updated site plan that's in the packet. And another general comment just about the amount of activity and inviting this activity to Brody's. We received a negative comment about that.
Joe Stanek, your committee had a project where you visited the site. Do you have any comment on the parking or anything?
Yeah, the only comment that was made is we'd like to see the facility mark their parking spots with maybe spray paint so that since there's going to be a potential for quite a few cars coming in, and there are no really parking spaces identified clearly, that maybe Mr. Brody could spray paint where the parking is, and so that people can pull in and not take parking spaces.
Yep, and to answer that question, I usually do in the spring, and I haven't done it yet because we just put a new septic system in, a new Norweco septic system, and we were also doing construction on the other side of the property. So there's a lot of construction vehicles in and out of there.
I need
So-
3 of those display batteries. Okay, thanks.
But to answer your question, yes, there will be painted lines for parking spots.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any further comments on this application?
And we certainly the concern with doing business out of Brody's that someone addressed, we want to point out that we're also doing business with the Sagamore, and certainly, I would anticipate a lot of business will come out of the Sagamore with the family reunions and small groups that we have here. So it won't all be Brody's, so that should help mitigate that.
Yeah, from a text from Amy. If you would answer, I would go with her.
Okay, Joe, I think you might have a project.
Yeah, resolution 2021-27, application number M21-000009 TB 21 5 zeros and a 6. Applicant is John Brody, Brody's Lakeside, and Lori Ram of 80K Excursions. Whereas the applicants have applied for a new tour boat operation and modification of a Class A marina to add a tour boat. Whereas the Lake George Park Commission has reviewed the application, supporting documents, comments received, and other information which appears in the record, And whereas the commission has made a determination that the project is an unlisted action pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act, 6 NYCRR 617.5, and as lead agency for the purpose of the State Environmental Quality Review Act, has made a determination that the project will not have no significant impact on the environment, whereas the action is considered to be a major project pursuant to 6 NYCRR 645-5.3, and public notice has been published and distributed as required. And the applicant has demonstrated that the activity and facility comply with the Class A Marina requirements of 6 NYCRR 646-1.2B and tour boat requirements at 646-1.4D. Whereas the commission finds the project will not have no adverse impact on the health, safety, or welfare of the public, the environment or the resources of the park, will not alter the essential character of the area in which it is proposed, will not lead to congestion in the park, and will not have an undue visual, cultural, or audible impact on the neighborhood or the park. Now therefore be resolved, the Lake George Park Commission hereby resolves to approve the above application as proposed. So moved.
Great. Thank you.
Moved and seconded to approve the application as presented. Any further discussion? All in favor by a show of hands? Opposed? Carried.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your support.
Good luck.
Yep.
Class A Marina modification submitted by Joe Lawless, Lodges at Bolton Landing. Joe, still on?
Thank you, Chairman. So this is an existing Class A Marina at the Lodges at Bolton Landing, formerly the Adirondack Motel. Currently, the facility is authorized as a marina to operate one tour boat for overnight guests. The applicant, Joe Lawless, has requested a permit for up to 3 boat rentals in addition to that PV operating at the facility, and again, exclusively for overnight guests of the facility. I believe I saw that Mr. Lawless had signed on, and I think he also wants to share a PowerPoint presentation to help represent the application. So at this time, Mr. Lawless, I'd invite you to unmute yourself and introduce yourself. And Justin, if you can help us share Mr. Lawless's screen so we can see his PowerPoint, that would be great.
There's someone here to speak for the project.
Yes, Bruce. We're just waiting for Joe, the applicant, to
Okay.
unmute himself and then share his screen. Joe says he's a little new to Zoom, so he's working to figure it out.
Okay, good morning. Can you hear me, gentlemen
Joe.
and ladies?
Yep.
And thank you very much, Joe Thuin. I subsequently had mentioned to Joe Thuin, I would be more than happy to restrict the boat rentals to just 2 vessels. I currently, so I'm the new owner here as of a year ago, and have worked very closely with the prior owner on all issues of compliance and safety and the regulatory bodies that govern the lake and this property. I can appreciate everyone's concern as neighbors. A new owner is here after the prior owner was here for 35 years. I might have some of the same concerns that you have already mentioned had I built a home or bought a home next to a motel that had been standing here for 60 years. I am a new owner, but I'm not new to Lake George. I've been coming here since 1965, where a gentleman by the name of Crosswell Tuttle taught me about Lake George and the precious commodity that is the water and the surrounding area. I've also been a Bolton Landing homeowner for the past 20 years and have enjoyed Northwest Bay and the and all that comes with Northwest Bay. Can you all see the PowerPoint that I had put up?
No.
No,
Not yet, Joe. So On your, are you on a laptop?
I'm on a laptop.
Okay, so down at the bottom in the middle, you should see a little green arrow that says share screen.
Okay,
You're gonna want to click on that.
I should be able to find that. You would think. Let me,
You would hope.
I know, I would hope. I spent 30 years in technology. I should know this better. But I've been out of it for 2 years. I haven't been doing anything on Zoom. I've been here doing a lot of paint and adding new furniture. Gosh darn it.
That's all right. So are you using the Zoom app or are you in a browser, Joe?
I'm in a browser.
Okay.
I do not have the Zoom app.
Okay, hold on just a moment.
If Justin could post it, I could talk to it.
Yep, I'm pulling that up now, Joe. I just got to sign in and grab it.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
So again, I'm a experienced boat landing homeowner and resident for many, many years. I have the utmost respect for the lake, the water, my neighbors, my friends. I'm not new to the community. And I've been working very hard to adhere to all the rules and regulations that govern my property. You know, and again, I'm waiting for the PowerPoint, but, you know, as a new owner, I also bring, you know, a new generation of visitors to Bolton Landing. I'm sure I'll say this again in the meeting, but I come from a very large family. And when this property was marketed, it was marketed as a potential family compound. As a new owner and investor, I was faced with the decision, do I make it a family compound? Do I run it the way it's been running for 60 years? Or do I do what many other motel purchasers have done, and that's knock it down and build a $4 or $5 million house? My decision was to keep it as it was, a motel with cottages and 2 homes with a lakefront and a pool, and to improve the experience by making the rooms nicer, making the lakefront a bit prettier. I have many return guests and I have many newer guests who are now coming as a result of my own immediate family and friends. My immediate family numbers 56 individuals. I'm the eldest of 10 children. We have 26 nieces and nephews and 10 grandchildren. My life partner, my mate, is the eldest of 8 children. So between our 2 families, we have 82 people who visit Bolton Landing. Imagine that they bring 2 friends apiece. And you can see how this is truly a family-friendly resort with a newer generation. You know, we have 120 steps down to those down to the lakefront.
Wasn't before there, Dave.
Any luck there, Justin?
Hold on there, Dave.
Okay.
I'm working on 3 different things here, folks. Bear with me for a moment.
Okay.
All right. All right. Joe, what was your question?
No, I'm just wondering if the PowerPoint came up. I can talk from it.
Yeah, I have to pull it up, and Microsoft Outlook is being difficult. So I am working on it. I apologize for the delay.
No problem. I'm going to talk to the first slide while you bring that up.
Okay, sounds good.
So I gave a little bit of a background as a new owner with a large family and friends. Those people are coming here. In terms of being a contributor to the community, we're a seasonal resort providing a valuable service for visitors who come to Bolton Landing in the Lake George region. Providing an alternative accommodation and value for families from the typical older, tired motel properties in the area. As many of you know, some of these motels haven't had new room upgrades in many, many years. I did an assessment. My guests last summer spent between $400,000 and $600,000 in the town of Bolton Landing and the surrounding communities while visiting the resort. My corporation paid over $35,000 in state and local taxes in 2020. Again, this is a small private resort exclusively for registered guests. I have followed the compliance with the Department of Health and the Lake George Park Commission to the letter of the law, and every other governing agency of this business and this property. As everyone on the call knows, Bolton Landing and Lake George has lost many motel properties over the last few years. It's my goal to keep the property a motel, seasonally only, to provide the town of Bolton Landing with the tourism that it requires, and to do it at an affordable price. As many people on the call know, a night at the Sagamore is pushing $500 a night, and there's people that just can't afford that. The Adirondack Park Motel has been here for over 60 years. It's provided non-motorized watercraft to the guests at least for the last 35 years that I can ascertain. Guests have traditionally been allowed to dock their own boats or boats they rent from some of the properties in town while staying at the resort, and that's at no charge. I've allowed them to continue to do that. There's ample room at the dock and the moorings for several boats. I am studying for a PV license to provide a tour boat similar to the prior owner. Along with my son, who's 22 years old and will be living with me starting tomorrow, we're going to run the resort with some other family help as well. But we both plan to get that PV license in the next 2 or 3 weeks. You know, with new ownership, of course, there's going to be some change. The prior owners had been here 35 years and had a aging community of guests, if I can say that. And I'm personally a senior citizen, so I think I can say that. I've been a taxpayer in Bolton for 20 years, an avid boat owner for over 40 years, and have enjoyed Northwest Bay as much as anyone else on this call. Many of my newer guests are in their 30s and 40s and have young families. It's 120 steps to the lake, and that's not for everyone to accomplish every day. I personally run down there 6 times a day, checking on everything from the pressure in the water pushing up the hill to the safety at the waterfront. I have upgraded the rooms and the common areas and the furnishings and the lakefront, all in compliance with local codes. I talked about my personal friends and family being many. They all want to enjoy the lake like everyone else, like the guests who have come here for many, many decades. I found that the typical boat rental companies in town can't satisfy the visitors to Bolton Landing. They have unreasonable requirements in terms of booking months in advance, multiple day rentals, and I have no control over the boats that they rent people and bring to my dock. I do personally own 3 boats that are registered here on Lake George, and they're at the dock at this point. Last season, I had 2, and my friends and my family use those boats. The rental guidelines that I proposed are hours of operation from 9 to 5, not at night, not after 5 o'clock at night. I proposed no fuel at the dock. I'm going to use the gas operations in Bolton Landing at the Water's Edge Marina and Norwell Marina and others. It's a requirement that everyone take the New York State safety course, and that's a pre-recorded video that everyone must take before they rent a boat. When necessary, we can provide assistance at the dock. As I said, my 22-year-old son is spending the summer with me and working for me here at the resort. My goal, as it's always been, is to remain community friendly and courteous to my neighbors. Many of the guests this season are from the surrounding neighbors, including 15 different people who've booked already that are friends and neighbors of my neighbors. In fact, my neighbor's daughter worked here last season, along with a woman who lives several driveways to the south. My goal is to provide value to Bolton Landing, to the Chamber of Commerce, to the visitors here in Bolton Landing. I have life vests and I provide them to all the guests at the resort. I want to assure everyone I have ample help running this resort safely. I plan to continue to adhere to all the rules and regulations. I simply ask to be able to legally rent 2 boats to my friends, my family, and to the guests of the resort. I ask for everyone's support in this. Just remember that, you know, as a new owner, there's a new generation of people who can run up and down those stairs, want to enjoy the lakefront. As they have for years, they want to use non-motorized and motorized boats. And I've kept all of the procedures and standards that the prior owners had done for over 35 years. So with that, I'll just close by saying I have nothing but the most respect and reverence for Lake George, the water, my community, and my neighbors. And Joe Thune, I'll turn it back to you. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else who wants to speak on this project? Joe, do you have anything to say on it? Joe Stanek?
We visited the site, walked down the stairs and walked up and got our daily exercise. I don't know how he does 6 of them, but anyway, you know, there was several comments made. When we got to the dock, we looked north and actually we couldn't hardly see the docks to the north because this is on a kind of a little bit further out on the lake. And as you know, the Northwest Bay still has capacity for running boats. And I personally didn't see a problem with the applicant requesting for 2 rental boats, given the fact that he's going to provide gas and provide docking facilities for those boats and only operate them from 9 to 5, the 2 boats. Ken, you were there. Did you have any comments?
Actually, sorry if I could interject just for a moment. We generally hear public comments first, and I know the chairman invited that, but I know we received a lot of comments on this application, and I can see a lot of those commenters are here. So folks, just to reiterate, now is your opportunity if you'd like to speak publicly on this. If you could raise your hand, Justin will call on you individually, or if you want to put a little comment in the chat box, that would be a good opportunity. Otherwise, if you're just here to observe, that's perfectly fine too. Having submitted a written comment, that's what the commissioners have to base their determination on. So no need to speak, but just want to pipe up now and give you your opportunity if you want it. Okay, I see one hand up, Justin. If you want to run this, I'd appreciate it. But looks gentleman raising his hand with the.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'm
Oh, hold on.
there you go. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. The screen says Carla, but it's my wife's computer that I'm on. So I'm Chuck Cumming. I'm 2 docks up from the motel, and I'm one of the people who have sent letters in. I'd just like to comment on a couple of things that Mr. Lawless said about the adherence to lake requirements and governing bodies. I'm aware that the Department of Health requires that a motel have a clearly designated swim area for the guests to use for safe swimming in the lake. And the previous owners did have that. To my knowledge, that has been removed. It used to be anchored by a raft on one corner of an area that was roped off. That raft has been removed, and there's no currently designated swim area required by the Department of Health. Also, I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe the tour boat was operated last year where the operator did not have the required license. Mr. Lawless has indicated that he's applied for a license, but he didn't have one last year, and that boat was used as a, I believe, as a tour boat. The boat is required to have annual inspections, and to my knowledge, a tour boat, that boat has not been inspected this year for operation. So I would raise questions about whether the motel has the wherewithal to provide the amount of supervision that's required to safely operate rental boats in this vicinity. There's a lot of neighbors on both sides of the motel who have young grandkids swimming around, and inexperienced operators, if they haven't been properly trained and given guidance, provided a risk to those kids swimming. We've also noticed people from the motel, kids going out on paddle boards and kayaks, not wearing life jackets. And I'm sure that Mr. Lawless would make that a requirement if he was down at the dock watching that kind of activity, but that didn't go on last year. So in general, we're just very concerned about this, the lakefront. It's a narrow lake frontage. It's got grandfathered docks from prior to the zoning requirements put in place. But this is a clear expansion of the amount of boat traffic that's going to be at the motel, because presumably guests would still bring their own boats in addition to the 2 boats that Mr. Lawless is planning to rent, and the tour boat that he has the permit to operate. All in all, we just the neighborhood is just very concerned about the amount of increase in boat traffic in a very small area.
I can
Anyone
add,
else?
I can add some comments. I'm Will Bixby, 5th generation summer resident. Our family kind of swarms the area in the summer. Many are permanent residents. Been coming to the lake my whole life, mostly in the town of Bolton area, like in Bolton Landing. We was lucky enough to get some land up in Northwest Bay because of its natural beauty and tranquility and quiet. In our neighborhood, I have 3 young girls. There's lots of kids, grandkids swimming. Their favorite place is to swim to the Walker Bay Point, which is very deep water between the land of the point, and you're open. It's open water swimming, but it's used often for people to swim, to paddleboard, to kayak. People come to our beach, which is just inside Walker Bay, with their kayaks all the time, with paddle boards. Many are neighbors, some are visitors from the hotel. We frankly welcome all that. That's wonderful to see people enjoying the lake. What really troubles me, and I think the neighbors, is turning an area into a little more commercial. A lot of the advertisement from Joe was a commercial property, and he's going to do well and have a lot of guests and have more boats. We look at it differently, and that, to us, it's a safety issue. We all know, and I'm sure Carla, the council, understands, at least my understanding, is that the new Brianna's Law, it's required for all of us. All of us that own boats need to take the exam. There's different time periods. I think my family members are all taking it now. It's I've heard 4 to 10 hours, depending on how quickly you can take the exam. It's not required for rental boat operators. And I seriously doubt they're going to spend 6, 8, 10 hours in front of a computer getting that certificate before they rent a boat. So we're in a mostly residential area. We've all passed the exam. We all have boats. We're required to. And we've had neighbors for a long time, wonderful owners of the Adirondack Park Motel, very respectful to us and and the neighbors. With a tour boat, frankly, it was not even noticeable. And now we're trying to expand it to go from tour boat to rental boat. Chicks rents boats. There's rental boats all over the place in no wake zone areas, and they're set up with gas and everything else. To me, I think it's an expansion of the rights of what they have today. Right now, as I understand it, it's a non-conforming lot. A variance was given a long time ago. And so they have 2 docks, they have a tour boat. Now we're looking to expand it to include rental boats in an area with a lot of swimmers. I'm an open water swimmer. I'm out there most mornings. It just seems like the wrong direction for our area to go, and I think it's a public safety risk and issue.
Thank you. Any further comments?
I think this might be a good time to talk about that. Kathy brought up a good comment, I think probably we all read, about the increase of rental boats on the lake and when is enough, and the problems of going, particularly in the South Basin, the boat in the lake without spending 3/4 of your time trying to avoid somebody else who's trying to run into you because they're not paying attention. There does come a time that we really need to say enough is enough. Okay, maybe this is the time to start.
Have we heard all of the public comments first?
This is Joe Lawless. I was wondering if I could just make a few comments to the points that were just raised and mentioned.
Yeah, certainly you can respond.
I have refused guests bringing boats here for the safety at the waterfront. I did that last season, and I look forward to telling people they cannot bring boats here. I don't know if you can hear me. But it is a fact that people rent boats in town, and they have brought them here for the last 35 to 60 years. They're going to continue to do that. I'm not proposing any additional traffic down there, but to be able to control the waterfront with my own boats. I respectfully, ask my neighbors for permission to do this with the Lake George Park Commission's, agreement and their support. The motel's been here for 60 years. It's operated a certain way, and I'm operating it the same way. But rather than have the rental boats from town here, I propose my own. I'm not going to overpopulate the dock. I don't want extra boats down there whatsoever. And as far as last year, I did not operate a tour boat. I had 2 boats of my own. I already have made the point that I have over 80 family who come here. And yes, my 4 sisters, their husbands, their children, they all use my boats. My brothers, their wives, their children, they all use my boats. So, I'm just asking for two rental boat permits. That's it. Is there a newer, younger generation that has followed me to this location? Of course, that comes with change, and they go down to the lake. It is a steep walk up, and it's not for everyone. But I'm not proposing any additional traffic, any additional, issues at the lakefront. Someone said something about washing a boat. I just use the water if the boat needs to be sprayed off with a hose. That's it. No soaps, no cleaners. There's really nothing down there that's going to change whether I'm granted the permit or not. Family and friends will bring boats. Guests will bring boats. They will use boats. And I'm just asking permission to have 2 boats, 9 to 5, monitored by myself and my family that help me run the resort. I do that with respect and all the reverence that everyone else holds for Lake George, as I have since I started coming here in the 60s and since I was a home in Bolton Landing 20 years ago. So thank you very much for listening to me and giving me consideration. I appreciate it.
I've got a quick question for Mr. Lawless, if that's okay. This is Joe Thune. You indicated as far as boat trips and activity, it's an obvious concern of the neighbors. The boat rentals will be half day or full day, so we would expect 1 to 2 boat trips per boat. With respect to the tour boat, what is the maximum number of trips you would anticipate in any given day? You indicate 1 hour sightseeing tours. So in my mind, that's up to 8 trips, which is kind of a lot. I'm just curious what you thought of, you know, max day, 4th of July weekend,
Sure.
number of boat trips by that tour boat.
Well, you know, it's expensive. It's expensive for people to rent it to sign up for that tour. I don't do it free of charge. My son or myself would have to be available, and I can't see it happening, you know, more than one time on a weekend, to be honest. Again, the bigger issue is that people have brought boats here for 35 years at no charge, and they continue to do so. And I say yes, as the prior owner did. I'm not looking to build a tour boat business. I'm not looking to build a boat rental business. I'm looking to just be in compliance and do it with the sanction of the Lake George Park Commission. Really, you know. So I don't anticipate much tour boat business at all, Joe. I really don't. It's a couple $100 to go out for an hour.
I marked down 1 time per day. So thank you for the response.
I have a question, Joe, for you. The applicant, that is. The comment was made about the swimming, marking off the swimming area. When we were there, we saw a rope going out into the lake between the 2 docks. I assume that the swimming area would be to the south where the docks have that grouping there. Is that true? I mean,
That is absolutely true. I removed the green float that was there. It was full of nails. I have a new rope and a new swimming area to be marked off as soon as the water's warm enough to go in. It'll be in the same exact place that it was last year until a small mooring that was there, the chain broke loose, and the area during most of the month of August wasn't as clearly marked as it had been in July. But that will all be reconstructed within the next few days and certainly a week or 2.
you're not planning to have any of these rental boats on the south dock, are you?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
I have no boats moored at the south dock last season or plan to do so this season. Once
Okay.
in a while, a guest will bring a jet ski and want to leave it for a night or 2. And I personally do not like jet skis and don't want them here, but you know, they had stayed here before, so I let them bring their jet ski. The south dock is not used for any overnight mooring whatsoever at this time.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Kat.
Mr. Lawless, when you said people go into town and rent boats and they bring them back, where do they dock them? I mean, when we were there, I saw 3 boats that were already, the Nautique, which was in the lift area. It was on a lift. And then there were 2 other boats on the north dock. And I guess I'm asking, are those 2 boats that we saw part of your proposed rental fleet? And if people bring their own boats back up that they rent, where do they put those?
Sure.
I
So-
think the moorings were taken out that were are on the original plan. That's correct, right?
Yeah, I lost the mooring ball last fall.
Yeah.
I retrieved it, and I'm putting new chain down there in the next couple of days and weeks.
Okay, so the moorings are going back out there.
One is still there. The other ball broke loose, and I'm fixing that as early as this weekend.
Is that the north one or the south one that broke loose?
I think it was the south one.
Okay, so do people put those rental boats on those moorings, or will you put your rental boats on those moorings?
So that's a reasonable question. Let me just say that the Ski Nautique is my personal boat, and I do not let anyone use that, except maybe my son. And I worry about that because it's just my personal boat. The other two boats are I personally own them. And if I get the permit, I will put them under an LLC with all the proper, rental insurances and so forth. I didn't get that many rental boats last year. Personally, I'd rather turn them away. I'd rather not have more than my 3 boats down there and maybe one guest. That's my personal preference. I'm not looking to attract a bunch of guests at the motel and the cottages who want to bring their own boats. In fact, one gentleman will probably never come back here because we disagreed on him bringing a boat here. So I'm looking to control the lakefront, make sure that my boats are brand new. They're both brand new. The Nautique is quite older, but again, that's not in the fleet. The 2 boats that are down there now, I own personally, and those are the 2 that I would let out to guests. But, in reality, it's more of my family and friends than anything else. I've got 15, my niece coming here this weekend with 15 of her girlfriends. They're all 34 years old. And guess what? They rented a boat from Chicks because I don't hold 16 people on a boat. I hold 11 and 9 on the 2 boats that I have.
And they'll keep their boat from Chicks at your place if they're renting it for the whole weekend,
They're renting it for the day.
just for the day.
Right. But so there's an example of how even my family is renting from Chicks and not using my boat for the day, and that'll be on Saturday. 15, young women here to celebrate family and friends. And
But back to those moorings, what boats are you putting there?
I may put one of my boats out there. I'm putting down new chains, so I have confidence. The old chain was old and it actually broke loose. So
I guess where I'm going with this is I'm trying to visualize, I can see a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 boats there.
there will never be 7 boats here. I have ample room at the north dock for 3 boats. My boat is on the lift underneath the boathouse. And
Okay.
yes, I am allowed to use the mooring balls should I deem it necessary, but it's the last resort. I used them sparingly last season, and luckily I didn't have a boat on it when it broke loose, but I'm putting all new chain. I just purchased it yesterday at Yankee Marina, new mooring balls and new chain. And that'll be done in the next few days, actually.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'm asked to do a recommendation for Thomas Rio. I received both of the emails. He will be, is hoping to attend your.
Do we have any further comments from the commissioners?
I would make a comment that if the residents in the area see violations where their kayaks or whatever without proper PWS personal protective, they should report this to Marine Patrol. And I think that given the comments, our suggestion might be to approve this with a 1-year renewal, providing the staff doesn't hear any negative comments or the Marine Patrol doesn't have any violations.
And I have another concern about the PV license. I guess because you're a private place, you don't need one to operate the tour boat. Is that correct?
No, I
Commissioner?
do need one, and I'm studying the course now. And my son and I are both planning to take the test the first week of June down in Albany.
Oh, okay. That's what I thought. That's what I was wondering there. I thought maybe I missed something. Okay, thank you.
Any further comments? Joe, would you mind reading the resolution?
Yep. Resolution number 2021-28. Application numbers M21, 5 zeros and a 7. Applicant is Joe Lawless at Lodges of Bolton Landing. Whereas the applicant has applied for a modification of a Class A marina to add 3 motorized boat rentals for use of overnight guests at the facility. And whereas the Lake George Park Commission has reviewed the application, supporting documents, comments received, and other information which appears in the record. Whereas the commission has made a determination that the project is an unlisted action pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act 6 NYCRR 617.5. And as lead agency for the purpose of the State Environmental Quality Review Act, has made a determination that the project will not have no significant impact on the environment, and the action is considered a major project pursuant to 6 NY CRR 645-5.3. Public notice has been published and distributed as required. The applicant has demonstrated compliance with the Class A marina requirements of 6 NY CRR 646-1.2B. And whereas the commission finds that the project will not have an adverse impact on the health, safety, and welfare of the public, the environment, or the resources of the park, will not alter the essential character of the area in which it is proposed, will not lead to congestion in the park, and will not have an undue visual, cultural, or audible impact on the neighborhood of the park. Now therefore, it be resolved, the Lake George Park Commission hereby resolves to approve the above application with the following conditions. First, there'll be 2 rental boats. And second, that this is a 1-year permit with the staff being able to renew it, providing that there is no violations reported during the operation. So moved.
We have a second? Yeah, we have a second. Any further discussion? All in favor by show of hands? Against? Okay, we have 1 again. Motion passed. Next item on the agenda is Law Enforcement Committee report. Ken?
You're muted,
You're
Ken.
muted. Go ahead.
Let me unmute. There we go. The Law Enforcement Committee met this morning. And the items that the Lieutenant Johns discussed with us is the number of boats that are currently in the water and the new patrol radios, converting us to the digital system, our summer program. The balance will be very shortly. Currently, there's 1 boat during the weekdays and 2 to 3 boats for the weekends, and that schedule will increase incrementally as we get closer to the summer. This past Sunday was apparently an exciting day with the Park Commission boats and state police boats busy with the high winds, and there were some overturned boats. I understand the water was very rough. Our attorney advised us about some litigation, not against us, but that involved some witness issues. And we had an executive session to discuss some other litigation. So I do have resolution 2021-29-29. Whereas the Law Enforcement Committee met via teleconference May 25th, 2021 to review matters pertaining to the Lake George Park Commission's Marine Patrol and the Commission's law enforcement program. And whereas active law enforcement cases and their status were reviewed in executive session. And whereas the Law Enforcement Committee has reported on the results of that meeting. And whereas the Law Enforcement Committee recommends acceptance of this month's law enforcement report. Now therefore be it resolved that the commission accepts the report of the Law Enforcement Committee, and I would make that a motion.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the Law Enforcement Committee report. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. We've now reached the public comment section of our meeting. Is there anybody that wants to make a public comment?
Move to adjourn.
It's been moved. There are no public comments. It's been moved to adjourn. All in favor of adjournment?
Aye,
We are adjourned, ladies and gentlemen.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Here, everyone.